Okay, this is an excellent title slide showing the 6 major functions of membrane proteins. I suggest you watch the video and you come back to this and use this kind of as a self-quiz and can you understand all these images. Right now they may not make a lot of sense, but if you look through the slides, I have one on each and then come back to this and hopefully it'll make more sense. Starting with the first one, transport. So one of the major functions is transport. This slide may look familiar from one of the previous ones. It is an important function. There's many different forms of transport. In general, here on the left side of the image, we have our proteins that span the membrane. These may provide hydrophilic channels across membranes that is selective for a particular solute. In this case, it's allowing the little green molecules to come through. On the right side of the image, these carrier proteins require energy. They're actively grabbing these more oval molecules and transporting them through the phospholipid bilayer. Another major function is enzymatic activity. A protein built into the membrane may be an enzyme with the active site exposed to the substances in adjacent solution. In some cases, several enzymes in the membrane are organized as a team that carries out sequential steps of metabolic pathways. So we see the example here. We have lactose, and remember ACE at the end of any word indicates it could be an enzyme. In this case it is. It's taking our lactose and breaking them apart, this disaccharide, remember from our carbohydrates, into its 2 monosaccharides, a glucose and a galactose. So here's our disaccharide, lactose, being broken apart into its 2 monosaccharides, glucose and galactose. And this is because of enzymatic activity that's embedded into the membranes. And remember, enzymes are specific types of proteins. All enzymes are proteins, but not all proteins are enzymes. Signal transduction. So a membrane protein may have a binding site with a specific shape that fits the shape of a chemical messenger, such as a hormone. The external messenger or signal may cause a conformational change in the protein receptor that relays that message inside the cell. What does that mean? That simply means we have a receptor protein embedded in the cell membrane here. It's binding to a specific hormone, and that is basically leading to secondary messages and a response in the cell. Remember, our active site is very particular on what it's binding to. It's a very specific shape. Gave the example in a lock and key model. Another major function are cell-to-cell recognition. Some glycoproteins serve as identification tags that are specific to recognize by other cells. This is very important in the immune system. We want to know what cells are self and what cells are foreign. So these glycoproteins are very important. So just highlighting one right here for cell recognition. So cells can recognize other cells for binding purposes, could be for attacking purposes, to recognize what self versus something that's not self might be. The fifth one along those same lines are intercellular joining. Membrane proteins of adjacent cells may hook together in various kinds of junctions, such as gap or tight junctions. This can help allow cells to closer communicate, can allow for easier exchange of materials. So this intercellular joining is another major function of our membrane proteins. 6, attachment of the cytoskeleton and extracellular matrix, which is abbreviated ECM on some occasions. These microfilaments and other elements of the cytoskeleton may be bonded to membrane proteins. So we have our microfilaments here of the cytoskeleton. Here's our proteins kind of binding and holding everything together here. This function helps maintain cell shape, stabilizes the location of certain membrane proteins. Sometimes we want our proteins to be able to move through the fluid mosaic. Other times we want them fixed in place. And this can help maintain them in specific locations. Proteins adhere to the ECM and can coordinate extracellular and intercellular changes. Remember, ECM is referring to extracellular matrix. This kind of shows just a graphical representation of that. That is the 6 major functions. And remember to go back to that beginning slide here and to just review and to understand a little bit about each of the 6.